You people always want special treatment. Sarah Collins doesn't even look up from her screen as she speaks to the man in khakis. Excuse me? Pay the fee or move along. Some of us have real work to do. Ma'am, I simply asked if you could help me rearrange. Does this look like a charity? Either pay up or try the Greyhound station. The man's hands clench once. Relax. His voice stays calm. I understand. Other passengers freeze. A woman gasps quietly. Someone mutters, Jesus Christ, under their breath. Sarah finally glances up, sees him still standing there. Are we done here? Because I have paying customers waiting. We're done. The man steps aside, takes out his phone, make a quiet call. Sarah has no idea what just happened. She will. In 8 minutes, everything changes. Sometimes the smallest actions have the largest consequences. 25 minutes before the confrontation, Marcus Lawson's phone rings in his hotel room. Daddy, are you coming home today? 8-year-old Emma's voice makes him smile. Marcus adjusts his tie, then thinks better of it and loosens the knot completely. Tomorrow night, sweetheart. Right after your soccer practice. Will you bring us presents? Emma, what did Mommy say about asking for presents? That good behavior is the best present. Her voice drops to a guilty whisper. But maybe just a small one? Marcus chuckles, pulling off the tie entirely. Business casual today. Keep it simple. We'll see. Put Mommy on the phone. Linda's voice comes through clearly. How's the hotel? Not too fancy, I hope. Hampton Inn. Same as always. Marcus folds the tie into his suitcase. You know I don't like wasting money on rooms I only sleep in. That's why we're still married after 15 years. Most men with your bank account would be staying at the Ritz. Most men with my bank account forgot where they came from. He checks his reflection in the bathroom mirror. Navy polo, khakis, comfortable walking shoes. Perfect. Dad always said money doesn't make you better than anyone, just more responsible for doing better. He'd be proud of what you've built. Marcus pauses, thinking of his father's calloused hands, the way he treated every customer at the hardware store like family, rich or poor, black or white. Everyone got the same respect. Hope so. The Atlanta contract could put us over $500 million this year. And you're still flying commercials. First class is just extra legroom. The coach gets you there at the same time. I love you, Marcus Lawson. Love you more. The call ends. Marcus grabs his carry-on, checks the contents one more time. Laptop, presentation materials, 3 bottles of North Carolina bourbon for the Atlanta clients. That bourbon pushes the bag overweight, but it's worth it. Personal touches matter in business. The drive to Charlotte Douglas takes 30 minutes through early morning traffic. Marcus keeps NPR low, mind already shifting to the day ahead. Lawson Logistics started with 1 truck, and his father's belief that treating people right pays dividends. Now they run freight operations across 6 states. Success hasn't changed his approach. Still shakes hands with warehouse workers. Still remembers names of administrative assistants. Still flies the same airline he's used for 8 years because consistency matters. Terminal C buzzes with Monday morning energy. Marcus joins the flow of travelers, noting the efficient operations, the generally positive staff interactions. North American Airways runs a professional operation, usually. He approaches the counter with the same quiet confidence he brings to client meetings. No attitude, no demands, just straightforward business courtesy. The gate agent looks stressed. Busy morning shift, probably dealing with delays and difficult passengers since 6 a.m. Marcus recognizes the signs. He's managed customer service teams before. He waits patiently while she finishes with the previous customer. Professional courtesy. His father taught him that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their job title. Good morning, Marcus says when his turn comes. Simple, pleasant. No different than he'd greet his own employees. The bag weighs 53 pounds, 3 pounds over. Standard overweight fee applies. Marcus knows the rules. Also knows that sometimes, with a little courtesy and explanation, airline staff can help find solutions. I was hoping you might help me rearrange some items. Client gifts pushed it slightly over. He expects the usual professional response. Maybe helpful, maybe not, but professional. Instead, Sarah Collins looks at him with obvious annoyance. Her assumptions form immediately. Wrong assumptions. Sarah Collins barely glances at Marcus before typing aggressively on her keyboard. The overweight fee is $50, cash or card. I understand there's a fee, miss. I'm just asking if you could help me redistribute some items. It's mainly client gifts. Sir? Sarah's voice cuts sharp. I'm not your personal packing service. Pay the fee or step aside. The businessman behind Marcus shifts uncomfortably. A woman with her teenage daughter exchanges worried glances. The terminal's normal morning hum continues, but their small section grows quiet. Marcus keeps his voice steady. I fly this route monthly for business. Usually the staff is helpful with minor adjustments. Usually staff don't have to deal with passengers who can't follow basic baggage rules. Sarah's fingers drum impatiently on the counter. Some of us have quotas to meet. Of course, I apologize for the inconvenience. Perhaps we could just look. Sarah finally makes eye contact, her expression openly dismissive. I don't know what kind of discount website you used to book this ticket, but this isn't Southwest. We have standards here. The teenage girl behind Marcus whispers, "Oh my God," to her mother. A man in a business suit starts recording discreetly with his phone. Marcus blinks slowly, processes what he just heard. Excuse me? You heard me. Either pay $50 or find an airline more suited to your budget. Sarah's voice carries clearly to the growing line of passengers. Some people think they can charm their way out of fees. Ma'am, I simply asked for assistance rearranging items in my luggage. And I told you that's not my job. Sarah grabs his boarding pass, slams it down harder than necessary. Maybe next time I will travel lighter, or try Greyhound. The businessman behind Marcus mutters, "This is bullshit," under his breath. A woman pulls out her phone, starts typing rapidly. The teenage girl stares in shock. Marcus stands perfectly still. His jaw muscle twitches once. His hands remain relaxed at his sides, but his knuckles have gone slightly white. I see. His voice stays level, professional. And if I pay the fee? Then we process your bag and you go wait at your gate like everyone else. Sarah turns to her computer screen, dismissing him. Some people expect special treatment for no reason. Special treatment. Marcus repeats the phrase quietly, for asking about rearranging luggage. Exactly. Next, Sarah calls to the line behind Marcus, who hasn't moved. The businessman steps closer, clearly upset. Hey, wait a minute. Sir, please stay in line, Sarah snaps at him. Then back to Marcus. Are we done here? Because I have paying customers waiting. The phrase paying customers hangs in the air, implying Marcus isn't one, implying he doesn't belong. Marcus reaches into his wallet, pulls out a credit card. The Black American Express Centurion card catches the fluorescent light briefly before he sets it on the counter. Sarah grabs it without looking, runs it through the system. $50 charge, approved instantly. There. Was that so hard? She drops the card on the counter rather than handing it back. Your flight leaves from gate B47. Boarding starts at 8:10. Marcus picks up his card, slides it back into his wallet, takes his boarding pass. Thank you for your assistance. His tone remains polite, respectful, but something has shifted in his posture. The businessman behind him looks angry enough to speak up. The mother and daughter watch with obvious sympathy. Several passengers now have their phones out. Sarah has already moved on to the next customer, completely unaware that the quiet man in khakis just paid her fee with a credit card that requires a 7-figure net worth to obtain. Completely unaware that her assumptions about his discount website and budget just insulted one of North American Airways' most valuable customers. completely unaware that Marcus Lawson is walking away with her name tag information memorized and a very clear recording of the entire interaction playing in his head. Completely unaware that in 4 minutes, Captain James Wilson will walk past this counter. Marcus steps away from the counter, but the businessman behind him doesn't move forward. "Excuse me, miss, but that was completely inappropriate." Sarah's head snaps up. "I'm sorry, what?" "The way you just treated that gentleman. Completely unprofessional." The businessman, mid-50s, expensive suit, obvious frequent traveler, stands his ground. He asked a simple question about rearranging luggage. Sarah's face flushes. "Sir, I need you to mind your own business and step forward for processing." "My business is watching you discriminate against customers." He holds up his phone. "And I got most of it recorded." The woman with the teenage daughter nods agreement. "That was really uncool what you said to him." Other passengers in line begin murmuring. Someone says discrimination loud enough to carry. A man in a pilot's uniform 3 counters down glances over with interest. Sarah feels the scrutiny building. Her morning has been difficult. 2 delayed flights, 3 overweight baggage arguments, and a supervisor who's been breathing down her neck about processing times. Now passengers are ganging up on her. "I treated him exactly the same as every other customer," Sarah announces to the growing audience. "Some people expect special treatment just because they complain." "Special treatment?" The businessman's voice rises. "He asked you to help rearrange his luggage. That's standard customer service." Standard customer service doesn't include personal packing assistance for passengers who can't follow weight limits. Sarah's voice carries across the gate area now. "Some people need to learn to travel within their means." A young woman behind the mother-daughter pair starts typing furiously on her phone. Her thumbs move rapidly across the screen, definitely posting to social media. Marcus stands near the departure board, listening to strangers defend him. He pulls out his phone, appears to check messages, but actually opens his voice recorder app, starts capturing the escalating confrontation. "Ma'am, there's no need to be rude," the mother says, stepping closer to the counter. "My daughter and I heard everything. You were way out of line." "Out of line?" Sarah's voice hits a higher pitch. "I'm doing my job. Some passengers think they can charm their way out of fees with sob stories about client gifts." The teenager whispers loudly to her mother, "Mom, can you believe she's still going?" Sarah hears the whisper, sees the phone recordings, notices other passengers gathering to watch. The pressure makes her double down instead of backing down. "You know what? I've been doing this job for 6 years. I know exactly what kind of passenger tries to talk their way out of fees." She points in Marcus's direction without looking at him. "Discount tickets, budget travelers, always trying to bend the rules." Dead silence falls over the immediate area. The businessman with the recording phone stares at her in disbelief. "Did you just say what I think you said?" "I said what I said." Sarah crosses her arms. "Some people need to fly airlines more suited to their financial situation." "Holy shit," someone mutters from the back of the line. A gate agent, 2 counters down, starts walking over, recognizing that the situation has spiraled out of control. Her name tag reads, Jennifer Martinez, Supervisor. Marcus continues recording everything. Note the security camera mounted directly above the counter. Note the growing crowd. Note that Sarah Collins appears completely unaware that she's destroying her own career in real time. "Miss, I think you need to call your supervisor," the businessman demands. "My supervisor is busy with actual airline business," Sarah snaps back. "Unlike some people, we have work to do." "I want to speak to whoever's in charge of this gate area immediately. And I want passengers who follow basic instructions and don't waste my time arguing about fees they should just pay." Sarah's voice reaches peak frustration. "Some of us have quotas to meet and real customers to serve." Jennifer Martinez arrives at the counter. "Sarah, what's the situation here?" "Nothing I can't handle. Passengers complaining about standard baggage policies." "Standard policies?" The businessman turns to Jennifer. Your agent just told that gentleman he should try Greyhound. Said he needs to find an airline more suited to his budget. All because he asked for help rearranging overweight luggage. Jennifer's expression changes immediately. Professional alarm. Is that accurate? Multiple passengers start talking at once. She was completely rude. Totally discriminatory. I got it all on video. Really inappropriate comments. Sarah realizes the situation has escaped her control. These passengers are exaggerating. I was just explaining our policies. Ma'am, the teenage girl speaks up for the first time. You literally told him to try Greyhound. My mom and I heard everything. Jennifer looks around the semicircle of upset passengers, then at the phone's recording, then at the security camera overhead that captured everything. Her face goes pale. Sarah, please step away from the counter. What? Jennifer, I was just... Step away from the counter. Now. Sarah finally understands that something has gone very wrong. The crowd of passengers, the recordings, the supervisor's tone, the way other airline employees have stopped working to watch. She looks around frantically, trying to gauge how badly she's miscalculated. Her eyes find Marcus near the departure board, watching quietly with his phone in his hand. For the first time, she really looks at him, notices his calm composure, his expensive watch, the way he carries himself. A terrible realization begins forming in her mind. That's when Captain James Wilson rounds the corner. Captain James Wilson strides toward Gate 23, pulling his regulation black flight bag. 20 years flying for North American Airways, thousands of passengers, but he recognizes the figure by the departure board immediately. Mr. Lawson! Wilson's voice carries across the gate area with unmistakable respect. Military bearing, crisp uniform, the kind of pilot passengers trust instinctively. Marcus looks up from his phone. A genuine smile crosses his face. Captain Wilson, good to see you again. Wilson approaches with both hands extended for a firm handshake. Sir, what brings you to Charlotte? Business in Atlanta? Client meeting at 10:30, hoping to wrap up a major logistics contract. Every passenger near the counter freezes. The businessman with the recording phone stares. The mother and daughter exchange shocked glances. Jennifer Martinez, still managing the Sarah situation, turns to watch. Sarah Collins stands perfectly still behind the counter. Color drains from her face as she processes what she's witnessing. Logistics contract? Wilson grins. Still expanding operations? 6 states now. Just opened our Memphis facility last month. Marcus's voice carries easily across the suddenly quiet area. 412 employees as of last Friday. Outstanding, sir. Absolutely outstanding. Wilson glances around, notices the crowd of passengers watching their conversation. Is everything all right here? You look... Just a minor misunderstanding about luggage weight. Marcus keeps his tone light, professional. Nothing that couldn't be resolved. Wilson's pilot-trained eyes take in the scene immediately. Upset passengers, phones recording, supervisor dealing with gate agent problems. His expression hardens as he pieces together what happened. Minor misunderstanding? Wilson's voice drops to a more serious register. About luggage? The businessman steps forward. Captain, your gate agent was completely inappropriate to this gentleman. Told him to try Greyhound. Said he should find an airline more suited to his budget. Wilson's face transforms. Professional courtesy becomes barely controlled anger. She said what? Sarah finally finds her voice, weak, shaky. Captain Wilson, I was just following standard procedures. Standard procedures? Wilson turns to face her directly. Did you tell Mr. Lawson to try Greyhound? Marcus raises a hand gently. Captain, it's really... No, sir, with respect, it's not all right. Wilson's military bearing becomes more pronounced. Sarah, do you understand who you just insulted? Sarah's mouth opens, but no words come out. She looks at Marcus, then back at Wilson, then at the growing crowd of witnesses. Mr. Lawson is CEO of Lawson Logistics Corporation, Wilson announces clearly. One of our most valued corporate customers, platinum frequent flyer for 8 years. And from what I'm hearing, you told him to ride the bus? The teenage girl whispers, "Oh my God," to her mother. Someone in the crowd says, "Holy shit," under their breath. The businessman with the phone grins with satisfaction. Sarah tries to speak. I didn't know. He didn't say. He shouldn't have to say, Wilson snaps. Every passenger deserves basic courtesy regardless of their appearance or status. Marcus steps forward calmly. Captain Wilson, I appreciate your concern, but, sir, is there anything I can do to make this right? Any assistance you need? Wilson's tone returns to respectful professionalism when addressing Marcus. Thank you, but the fee has been paid. The situation is resolved. The fee? Wilson's anger returns. You charged him an overweight fee? Marcus pulls his boarding pass from his pocket. Gate B47, boarding at 8:10. I should probably head over. Wilson studies Marcus's face, recognizes the controlled dignity of a man who's been wronged but won't make a scene. Sir, I hope this incident doesn't affect your opinion of North American Airways. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding, but Marcus's tone suggests it was much more than that. Sarah realizes her career might have just ended. Within 2 hours, Terminal C Security Office becomes the center of an investigation that will reshape corporate policy across the airline industry. Jennifer Martinez sits across from Security Chief David Thompson, watching terminal camera footage on his monitor. The timestamp reads 07:22 a.m., crystal clear audio and video. Run it again from the beginning, Jennifer requests. Thompson rewinds to Marcus approaching the counter. They watch Sarah's dismissive body language, listen to her tone deteriorate from professional indifference to open hostility. You people always want special treatment. Does this look like a charity? Either pay up or try the Greyhound station. Maybe next time I will travel lighter. Or try Greyhound. Jennifer winces at each replay. How many passengers witnessed this? 15 to 20 in the immediate area. At least 6 got phone recordings. Thompson pulls up incident reports on his second monitor. The businessman who confronted her immediately filed a complaint. Posted the video on Twitter 2 hours ago. Jennifer's phone buzzes with notifications. Corporate headquarters calling. Ms. Martinez, this is Regional Director Tom Anderson. We need to discuss the Charlotte incident immediately. Sir, I'm reviewing the security footage now. The footage is the least of our problems. Do you understand who Sarah Collins insulted this morning? Jennifer checks her notes. Marcus Lawson, passenger on Flight 1456 to Atlanta. Marcus Lawson, CEO of Lawson Logistics Corporation, $12 million in annual freight bookings with North American Airways, our third largest corporate account. The phone goes silent except for Jennifer's sharp intake of breath. Anderson continues. His assistant just called our corporate customer service line. Apparently, Mr. Lawson requested Sarah's full employment record, the security footage, and a meeting with executive leadership. Oh, God. Pull Sarah's personnel file immediately. I want her complete service history on my desk in 1 hour. Jennifer opens Sarah's employee record while still on the call. 6 years employment, generally positive performance reviews, but scrolling deeper into customer complaints reveals a troubling pattern. April 2024. The agent was dismissive and rude, made comments about my appearance. In February 2024, felt discriminated against based on how I was dressed. The agent made assumptions about my ticket type. November 2023. The agent told me I should fly a different kind of airline. Very unprofessional. September 2023. Made me feel unwelcome. Keep emphasizing that I was flying economy like it was shameful. Jennifer counts 12 similar complaints over 18 months, all from minority passengers, all describing identical behavior patterns. Sir, we have a problem. Multiple complaints showing discriminatory patterns. How multiple? 12 documented incidents since 2023, all involving minority passengers, all describing the same dismissive treatment. Anderson's voice turns grim. Forward everything to legal immediately, and find out who approved her for senior agent status despite these complaints. 20 miles away, Patricia Hayes sits in the Charlotte Observer newsroom, studying the Twitter video on her phone. 15,000 retweets in 3 hours. Comments pouring in from travelers sharing their own discrimination stories. Her editor walks over. Are you seeing this airline thing? Already making calls. The passenger they insulted is Marcus Lawson. Should I know that name? Patricia pulls up Lawson Logistics on her computer. Local success story. Started with 1 truck in 2004. Now runs freight operations across 6 southeastern states. Employs over 400 people. Perfect family man reputation. And some gate agent told him to ride Greyhound? Gets better. I called NAAA corporate. They're in full panic mode. Transferred me 3 times before hanging up. Sounds like our front page story. Patricia starts typing her investigation outline. Corporate discrimination, pattern behavior, economic impact. David versus Goliath with a twist. David has a corporate bank account. Her phone rings. Blocked number. Charlotte Observer, this is Patricia. Ms. Hayes? I work for North American Airways. I can't give my name, but I saw your number on the company investigation notice. Patricia grabs her recorder. I'm listening. What happened this morning isn't isolated. We've been trying to get proper bias training for years. Management keeps cutting the budget. Can you prove that? I have emails, budget proposals, training requests that got denied. Sarah Collins should have been suspended after the 3rd complaint, but HR kept protecting her metrics. Metrics? She processes passengers fast. Management cares more about speed than courtesy. We're basically incentivized to move people through quickly rather than help them. Would you be willing to meet in person? I can't, but check the anonymous employee survey from last year. 73% of frontline staff reported witnessing discriminatory behavior they felt unable to address. The line goes dead. Patricia immediately calls NAAA Corporate Communications. This is Patricia Hayes, Charlotte Observer. I'm investigating the Marcus Lawson incident. Would you like to comment on your employee bias training programs? Hold, please. 5 minutes of hold music. Then, Ms. Hayes, we'll need to call you back. When? We'll call you back. They don't call back. Meanwhile, at Lawson Logistics headquarters, Marcus sits in his corner office overlooking downtown Charlotte. His assistant, Rebecca, brings coffee and a stack of documents. The NAA executives want to schedule a meeting as soon as possible. They've called 4 times. Marcus doesn't look up from his laptop. What about the contract renewal paperwork? Still on your desk, due next Friday. And competitor quotes? Delta and United both submitted proposals last month, both offering significant discounts to win our business. Marcus finally looks up. Interesting timing. His phone buzzes with a text from Linda. Saw the news video. You okay? Kids want to know if Daddy is famous now. Marcus smiles for the first time all day. Types back. Just proving Grandpa's lessons still work. Home tomorrow night as planned. But he also opens a new document on his computer. Starts typing notes about systemic discrimination, employee training failures, and corporate accountability. This isn't about one gate agent anymore. It's about an industry that's forgotten basic human dignity in pursuit of operational efficiency. Rebecca knocks and enters. Mr. Lawson? Patricia Hayes from the Charlotte Observer is online too. Says she's investigating discrimination in airline customer service. Marcus considers for a moment. Transfer her through. 2 minutes later. Mr. Lawson, thank you for taking my call. I'm hoping you'll share your experience from this morning. Ms. Hayes, I believe in facts over emotions. The security footage speaks for itself. Would you be willing to go on record about systemic issues in airline customer service? Marcus looks at the photo on his desk. Linda and the kids at Emma's last soccer game. All smiles and Sunday afternoon happiness. Let me ask you something, Ms. Hayes. How many other Marcus Lawsons don't have corporate accounts and media attention to protect them? That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Then yes, let's schedule an interview. By 6 p.m., the story has grown beyond one incident. Social media erupts with hashtag #RespectAllPassengers. Travelers share discrimination stories. Employees leak internal emails. Stock analysts question NAA's customer service policies. Sarah Collins sits in her apartment, watching her career implode on cable news. Marcus Lawson prepares for a fight that will change everything. North American Airways corporate headquarters in Atlanta becomes a war room by noon. Stock price down 4%. Social media mentions up 3,000%. Crisis management protocols activate across multiple departments. Board Chair Ellen Morrison personally dials Marcus Lawson's direct line. Mr. Lawson, this is Ellen Morrison, Board Chair of North American Airways. I'm calling to personally apologize for this morning's incident. Marcus sits calmly in his office, speakerphone activated, Rebecca taking notes. Ms. Morrison, I appreciate you calling. We've launched a full investigation. The employee involved has been placed on administrative leave pending review. We take discrimination extremely seriously. Do you? Because my research shows 12 similar complaints against Ms. Collins over 18 months. Silence on the other end. Then, Mr. Lawson, we'd like to offer compensation for your experience. Full refund of today's flight, plus first-class upgrades for life, plus a $50,000 voucher credit. That's generous. We value your business tremendously. Lawson Logistics is one of our most important partners. Marcus leans back in his chair. Ms. Morrison, may I ask something? If I wasn't a $12 million customer, would you have called personally? Another pause. Mr. Lawson, I'm not sure I understand. Simple question. If Marcus Lawson was just a regular passenger without corporate contracts, would the board chair of North American Airways call to apologize? We treat all our customers. The footage suggests otherwise. Ellen Morrison's tone shifts slightly. Less conciliatory, more business-focused. Mr. Lawson, we're prepared to be very generous in resolving this matter. We hope this incident doesn't affect our long-standing business relationship. Marcus catches the implied threat. Business relationship. Contract renewal. Economic pressure. Are you suggesting my response to discrimination should depend on protecting a business contract? Of course not. I'm simply saying we hope to find a mutually beneficial resolution. I see. Marcus makes a note. And if I prefer a less private resolution? Mr. Lawson, I think private resolution serves everyone's interests. Media attention can be unpredictable. Sometimes it affects business relationships in unexpected ways. There it is, the subtle threat. Keep quiet or risk economic retaliation. Marcus smiles coldly. Ms. Morrison, I'll consider your offer and get back to you. When might that be? We're hoping to resolve this quickly. I'll be in touch. The call ends. Rebecca looks up from her notes. That sounded like a threat. It was definitely a threat. Marcus opens his laptop. They just made this much more interesting. 3 floors down, the NAA legal department manages multiple crisis calls simultaneously. Chief Legal Counsel Robert Taylor addresses the executive team via video conference. Gentlemen, we have significant exposure here. The discrimination angle combined with documented complaint patterns creates substantial lawsuit risk. Regional Director Tom Anderson interrupts. How substantial? 7 figures minimum if this goes to court, but that's not our biggest problem. What's bigger than a 7-figure lawsuit? Federal investigation. The Department of Transportation received 300 discrimination complaints in the past 6 hours, all citing the Lawson incident as a catalyst for coming forward. Jesus Christ. It gets worse. Lawson's contract renewal is next Friday. If he switches to a competitor and takes his $12 million annual revenue with him, we lose more than any lawsuit settlement. Exactly. And if other corporate accounts follow his lead? Ellen Morrison rejoins the call. I just spoke with Lawson directly. Offered first class for life plus $50,000 in vouchers. Did he accept? He asked whether I'd call personally if he wasn't a major customer, then suggested he might prefer a less private resolution. That's not good. He's planning something bigger than a settlement. And frankly, after listening to that security footage, I understand why. Tom Anderson checks his watch. His flight landed in Atlanta an hour ago. He's probably in his client meeting right now. What if the contract renewal gives us leverage? What kind of leverage? His logistics business depends on our freight partnerships. If we hint that public criticism might affect those relationships, Robert Taylor's voice turns sharp. Absolutely not. Economic retaliation for discrimination complaints is explicitly illegal. You want to add federal employment law violations to our problems? Then what do you suggest? We get ahead of this story, issue a public apology, announce policy changes, show we're taking action before he forces us to. Ellen Morrison disagrees. That makes us look guilty. Admits systemic problems. Ellen, we are guilty of systemic problems. The complaint pattern proves it. Meanwhile, Patricia Hayes types furiously in the Charlotte Observer newsroom. Phone calls to corporate communications bounced between 5 departments before reaching voicemail. Her editor reads over her shoulder. They're not responding to media requests? Complete silence. Either they're preparing a major statement or hoping this dies down. With this much social media attention, not happening. Patricia's phone buzzes with a text from her NAAA source. Emergency executive meeting happening now. Heard your name mentioned. They're scared. She immediately tweets, breaking at North American Air executives in crisis meetings following discrimination incident. Corporate communications refusing media requests. More at 6 p.m. Retweets begin immediately. Back in his Atlanta client meeting, Marcus shakes hands with the logistics directors who will finalize the $500 million expansion contract. Mr. Lawson, we saw the news coverage. Terrible situation. Marcus nods. Character gets tested when people think you can't fight back. What's your next move? Marcus looks out the conference room window at Atlanta's skyline. Thinks about his father's hardware store. Think about every customer who doesn't have corporate contracts protecting them. Sometimes you have to choose between what's profitable and what's right. And if North Americans retaliate against your business? Marcus smiles. Let them try. I have options they don't know about. By evening, NAAA stock dropped another 2%. Social media campaigns organize boycotts. Corporate customers privately question their partnerships. Sarah Collins watches cable news coverage from her apartment, realizing she's become the face of systemic discrimination. Ellen Morrison stares at quarterly projections, calculating how much one gate agent's prejudice might cost shareholders. Marcus Lawson drives home to Charlotte, knowing tomorrow will bring the real battle. Marcus sits in his home office Tuesday evening, reading emails that break his heart. The stories arrive hourly. Travelers who saw news coverage find courage to share their NAAA experiences. Each message reveals familiar patterns of humiliation. Dr. James Washington, orthopedic surgeon. They questioned my first-class ticket 3 times, made me show an additional ID while other passengers watched. Maria Rodriguez, federal prosecutor. Gate agent said I'd be more comfortable in economy, that first class expects certain standards. Colonel Patricia Johnson, Army veteran. Returning from deployment in full uniform, they still treated me like I didn't belong. Marcus reads every word. 43 detailed accounts so far. Linda brings coffee, sits across his desk. How many today? 43, 3 federal judges, 2 CEOs, military officers, doctors, teachers. Marcus rubs his temples. People who've dedicated lives to serving others. Same treatment every time? Assumptions based on appearance, condescending attitudes, public humiliation. Marcus clicks another email. High school principal from Charleston made her change seats 3 times because passengers complained. Linda reads over his shoulder. Horrible. Worst part? Most never reported it. They absorbed humiliation and continued with their lives. Marcus walks to his window overlooking quiet suburban streets, kids riding bicycles, normal life while he grapples with systematic injustice. His phone buzzes. Reverend Michael Adams, prominent Charlotte minister. Mr. Lawson, thank you for your courage. Our congregation includes professional travelers who experienced similar treatment. They remained silent, fearing retaliation. Your visibility gives voice to their experiences. Marcus forwards it to Patricia Hayes. This is bigger than one airline, Patricia calls immediately. I've received similar testimonies all day. This story is becoming a movement. Patricia, I never wanted to be the face of this fight. But you are. People are counting on you. That's the crushing weight Marcus feels. Not just his experience, but representing everyone who suffered silently. Everyone without corporate contracts protecting them. Everyone who absorbed discrimination as the cost of traveling while black. Rebecca enters with more printed emails. The stack grows higher. Mr. Lawson? Ellen Morrison called again. 5th time today. Offering to fly here personally. Marcus doesn't look up. What resolution addresses 40 years of systematic discrimination? She mentioned policy changes, company-wide training programs. Training programs? Marcus picks up Dr. Washington's email. How do you train people to see others as human? Linda touches his shoulder. Maybe you can't change everyone, but you can change enabling systems. Marcus examines the growing pile. Successful people are reduced to humiliation by gate agents making assumptions. Professionals who achieve the American dream only to be reminded they weren't welcome. The problem runs deeper than North American Airways, which makes this matter more than personal experience. Marcus nods. These people trusted me with their stories. They deserve more than settlement checks and corporate apologies. What are you thinking? Dad's hardware store. He never needed bias training seminars, never required policies about treating customers respectfully. He just did it. Your father didn't work for corporations with quarterly profit pressure. Marcus returns to the emails. Teacher humiliated during school trip. The veteran was denied luggage assistance despite physical disabilities. Maybe that's the real problem. We've built systems rewarding speed over humanity, metrics over dignity. The phone rings. Charlotte City Council member Ray Johnson. Mr. Lawson, I've followed your story. Our office received dozens of constituent calls sharing similar experiences. We're considering hearings on airport customer service discrimination. Marcus feels weight shifting. Not just personal stories anymore. Political attention. Potential systematic change. What would that involve? Public testimony, media coverage, forcing airlines to answer questions under oath about training and policies. When? Soon. Public accountability drives corporate behavior better than private negotiations. After hanging up, Marcus stares at testimonies. 43 stories of denied dignity. 43 people deserve justice beyond personal settlements. Tomorrow changes everything. Wednesday morning, Marcus makes an announcement that shocks everyone. Standing in his conference room facing local media, he speaks with quiet conviction. I will not pursue a lawsuit against North American Airways. Patricia Hayes nearly drops her recorder. Ellen Morrison, watching live television, feels momentary relief. Instead, I'm demanding systematic policy overhaul, industry-wide. This isn't about money. This is about dignity. His phone explodes within minutes. David Brooks, CEO of Meridian Industries, calls first. Marcus, we spend $8 million annually with NAOA. If they don't implement changes, we're switching carriers. Next call from Atlanta. Mr. Lawson, this is Southern Freight Corporation. We're prepared to boycott NAOA until they address bias. By noon, 12 major corporate customers publicly threaten contract cancellations unless NAOA implements comprehensive training. Fortune 500 corporations whose travel budgets collectively represent $200 million in annual airline revenue join the coalition. Ellen Morrison watches stock prices plummet as business customers organize. Meanwhile, NAOA employees speak anonymously to Patricia Hayes. Discrimination training was 30 minutes online. Multiple choice questions you could guess through. Management prioritized speed over service. Move passengers quickly. Don't spend time on difficult requests. Sarah wasn't unusual. Half our gate agents have similar complaint patterns. Thursday afternoon brings the most damaging leak. An internal document titled Customer Service Excellence Guidelines lands in Patricia's inbox. Coded language makes discrimination appear professional. Efficiently process passengers requiring additional time or resources. Maintain service standards consistent with ticket class expectations. Prioritize passengers whose travel patterns indicate loyalty engagement. Translation: rush minority passengers. Assume expensive tickets don't belong to people of color. Better service for customers who look like business travelers. Patricia publishes the document Thursday evening. Headline: Internal Guidelines Reveal Systematic Discrimination Training. The national media picks up immediately. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News cover the institutional bias evidence. Ray Johnson calls Thursday night. The City Council voted unanimously. Public hearings on airport customer service standards scheduled. NAAA's terminal contract renews next year. Meaning? Charlotte Douglas generates 40% of their southeastern revenue. They can't afford losing airport access. Marcus feels momentum building. Not his fight anymore, but a movement demanding accountability. Other airlines begin damage control. Delta announces enhanced training. United pledges oversight improvements. Southwest launches Dignity for All Passengers initiatives. The industry realizes NAAA's crisis could become everyone's problem. Friday afternoon, the surprising call comes through Rebecca. Mr. Lawson? Someone requesting a meeting, says it's personal. Who? Sarah Collins. Marcus considers. The woman who humiliated him wants to talk. Transfer her. Sarah's voice shakes. Mr. Lawson, I know you have no reason to speak with me. I'm listening. I've watched the news, read passenger stories. I realized I've been part of something terrible. Marcus waits. I want to apologize. Not for my job or company, but personally. What I did was wrong. Sarah, please. I've thought about why I acted that way. I think I need help understanding my biases. Marcus looks at Charlotte's skyline. Sometimes change comes from unexpected places. What are you asking? I want to testify at the city council. Tell the truth about what happened and why. Maybe my story prevents this from happening to others. Marcus considers. The woman who started this crisis wants to help end it. That would take courage. Time I found some. Monday morning brings the leak that destroys North American Airways' narrative. Patricia Hayes receives encrypted email at 6:47 a.m. Subject: You need to hear this. 43 minutes of audio from NAA's executive board meeting. Friday's emergency session about Marcus Lawson. Patricia listens with growing disbelief. Ellen Morrison's voice. Gentlemen, we're dealing with a public relations nightmare because one employee couldn't handle a difficult passenger quietly. Tom Anderson responds, These people always escalate minor interactions into discrimination claims. Board member Richard Walsh. We can't let every customer who plays the race card dictate corporate policy. CFO Margaret Stevens. Bias training is expensive and ineffective. Most discrimination claims are passengers seeking compensation. Patricia checks the timestamp. Verified. These executives discussed discrimination like minor operational inconvenience. Ellen Morrison continues. Our priority is protecting shareholder value. Lawson has contract renewal next week. Economic pressure might encourage quieter resolution. Legal counsel Robert Taylor. We need careful about retaliation. Tom Anderson interrupts. Not retaliation if we simply choose not to renew unprofitable contracts. Laughter around the table. Margaret Stevens. Diversity training budget cut 3 years running. Why start expensive programs now? Ellen Morrison. Exactly. Fix this with settlements and confidentiality agreements. Patricia calls Marcus immediately. You need to hear this recording. 20 minutes later, Marcus listens to executives dismiss discrimination as imaginary grievances. Jaw tightens hearing economic retaliation discussion. When was this recorded? Friday afternoon, emergency board meeting. The final section reveals NAA's real strategy. Ellen Morrison. Charlotte's situation requires aggressive damage control. If Lawson goes public, we coordinate with logistics partners to make his operations challenging. Tom Anderson. Freight routing delays, service disruptions, nothing traceable but enough to demonstrate partnership value. Richard Walsh. Economic consequences for stirring trouble. Other customers understand the message. Margaret Stevens. How do you handle the employee? Ellen Morrison. Sacrifice her. Public termination shows action. She's replaceable. Marcus stops recording, fury building. Rebecca enters. Mr. Lawson, Ellen Morrison called twice demanding a callback. Contract renewal acceleration. They want expedited negotiations. Yes, sir. DOT investigators also called about systematic discrimination interviews. Marcus looks at Patricia. How fast can you verify authenticity? Audio forensics confirmed unedited. Voices match previous executive interviews. Publishing when? Tonight, unless you have timing concerns. Marcus considers. NAA planned economic warfare. Discussed destroying Sarah Collins. Laughed about passengers seeking dignity. This doesn't just expose discrimination. It reveals complete contempt for accountability. Shows systematic willful civil rights ignorance. Marcus calls NAA Communications. This is Marcus Lawson. Tell Ellen Morrison I've heard Friday's board recording. Sir, I'm not sure. Tell her I'm holding a press conference tomorrow. She can explain comments about these people and economic retaliation. Mr. Lawson. Marcus hangs up. The phone rings immediately. Ellen Morrison. I think there's been misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Heard every word. That recording was illegal. Truth doesn't become false because of the revelation method. Silence. What do you want? Marcus examines passenger testimonies. 47 dignity stories. People counting on justice. What I've always wanted. Change. Real change. Now I have evidence to force it. Everything has changed. Charlotte City Council chambers overflow with supporters, media, and airline executives on Tuesday morning. Councilman Ray Johnson calls the hearing to order. We're here to address systematic discrimination in airport customer service and its impact on our community. Marcus sits calmly at the witness table, facing packed galleries. Ellen Morrison and her legal team occupy the front row, expressions grim. Mr. Lawson, please share your experience with this council. Marcus speaks without notes, voice steady and authoritative. 3 weeks ago, I experienced discrimination that revealed systematic problems. But this hearing isn't about one incident. It's about dignity denied to countless passengers. He gestures to the gallery filled with testimony supporters. Dr. James Washington, distinguished surgeon, questioned about his first-class ticket. Colonel Patricia Johnson, Army veteran, told she didn't fit business class standards. Maria Rodriguez, federal prosecutor, directed to more suitable seating. Murmurs ripple through the chamber. These aren't isolated incidents. They represent institutional bias enabled by corporate policies that prioritize assumptions over respect. Councilwoman Angela Davis leans forward. Mr. Lawson, what changes do you recommend? Mandatory bias training with measurable outcomes. Independent oversight of customer service complaints. Economic consequences for airlines that tolerate discrimination. Ellen Morrison's attorney objects. Mr. Lawson lacks expertise in airline operations. I have expertise in human dignity, Marcus responds firmly. Something your client's board meeting recording suggests needs explanation. Ray Johnson calls Ellen Morrison to testify. She approaches reluctantly, the legal team flanking her. North American Airways regrets any misunderstanding regarding Mr. Lawson's experience. Misunderstanding? Councilman Robert Wilson plays the board meeting audio through chamber speakers. Ellen Morrison's recorded voice fills the room. These people always escalate minor interactions into discrimination claims. Gasps echo through the gallery. A woman shouts, "Shame!" before being quieted. Ms. Morrison, do you stand by these comments? That recording was taken without consent. Do you stand by these comments? Ellen Morrison's composure cracks. The context was, those comments don't reflect company values. They reflect executive thinking about discrimination complaints. Sarah Collins approaches the witness stand next, hands trembling slightly. The packed chamber falls silent. I want to apologize publicly to Mr. Lawson and every passenger I've treated with disrespect. Her voice shakes but grows stronger. I made assumptions based on appearance. I was wrong. She faces Marcus directly. I treated you terribly because of unconscious bias I didn't recognize. That bias wasn't trained out of me. It was ignored by policies that prioritized speed over respect. What would prevent similar incidents? Ray Johnson asks. Real training, not 30-minute online modules, face-to-face education about bias recognition, accountability measures for discriminatory behavior. Sarah's testimony carries weight because she acknowledges fault without legal protection. Dr. Washington testifies about medical conferences disrupted by airline humiliation. Colonel Johnson describes military honors ceremonies overshadowed by travel discrimination. The testimonies build momentum, pattern evidence, systematic problems requiring systematic solutions. Ellen Morrison returns for cross-examination. Ms. Morrison, your company generates significant revenue from Charlotte Douglas operations. Yes, we are major economic contributors. Would losing terminal access affect those contributions? Substantially. Ray Johnson checks his notes. This council oversees airport contracts. Those contracts include non-discrimination clauses. Silence fills the chamber. Based on testimony and evidence presented, this council votes unanimously. North American Airways must implement comprehensive bias training, establish independent complaint oversight, and demonstrate measurable improvement within 90 days. Or face contract review and potential terminal access restrictions. Ellen Morrison's face goes pale. Losing Charlotte operations would devastate NABA's southeastern markets. Marcus feels vindication but also responsibility. Change demanded continued vigilance. 3 months later, the transformation would exceed everyone's expectations. 3 months later, the transformation is remarkable. North American Airways implements the most comprehensive bias training program in airline history. Real facilitators, interactive workshops, measurable behavioral changes. Sarah Collins becomes their lead diversity trainer. Marcus renews his contract with strengthened anti-discrimination clauses. His business thrives. More importantly, passenger complaints drop 78% system-wide. Other airlines adopt similar programs proactively. Delta's Respect for All initiative. United's bias recognition training. Southwest's Dignity First customer service protocols. The Department of Transportation issues new federal guidelines for airline customer service standards. The Lawson Protocol became an industry shorthand for treating every passenger with equal respect. Sarah and Marcus meet privately at Charlotte's airport 6 months after the incident. She's training gate agents in unconscious bias recognition. He's catching a flight to expand Lawson Logistics into 2 more states. Mr. Lawson, I want you to know this experience changed my life. It changed mine too, Sarah. Sometimes growth comes from uncomfortable places. I still think about that morning. I wonder how many passengers I hurt before I learn better. Marcus pauses near the same counter where everything started. The past teaches. The future depends on what we do with those lessons. Today, gate agents receive 40 hours of bias training annually. Independent oversight monitors complaints. Economic consequences follow discrimination patterns. Marcus's father would be proud. Treating people right really is good business. Sometimes the most expensive mistake costs nothing to prevent. Sometimes dignity delayed becomes justice demanded. Sometimes ordinary people create extraordinary change. What discrimination have you witnessed that could be prevented with courage? Share your story in the comments, because silence enables systems that dignity dismantles. Hit subscribe for more stories proving that respect costs nothing but pays dividends forever. Remember, everyone deserves basic human dignity, regardless of their appearance, background, or bank account.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.